Hello, everybody. It seems that the video had disconnected at a very inopportune time as I dropped connection from the internet. So I first of all just want to apologize. I'm not exactly sure at this moment how much work was lost as far as the recording. I have not gotten access via email link, which is what happens after the video stops recording, to show me where the video left off. So I'd like to sincerely apologize, first of all. But where I had left off was beginning with lesson 4. So I'm going to actually pick up jumping into lesson 4. If I notice that I really lost significant portions of lesson 3, or hopefully nothing in lesson 2, I'll try to go back and re-record. Again, you can always just follow along using the sample work that I'm providing. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'm very discouraged right now, but again, these are the hiccups that happen in life. And we just kind of take it on the chin and move forward the best that we can, because hey, this is new, this is all foreign, and we're just getting our feet wet. So I'm going to project my screen again and get my lesson going to where I need it to be. Okay. So, like I had mentioned, I had left off on lesson number 4, or part 4 of lesson 16, I should say. So, part 4 is it's a short story called "The Stingy Artist," retold by Keisha Walker, and it says the following is a retelling of an ancient Zen tale called "Cone," which is meant to teach a moral or lesson. So, it's very much like a fable. So, it says read the tale and use the study buddy and the close reading to guide your reading. Okay, so we'll be completing some close reading activities to help us with part 4 of this lesson. Okay, so we go to part 4 to project this now. So I'd like to show you the inference, like I had mentioned. Hopefully you picked this up in the last video. With each title text, what I'm going to be doing is making an inference about the story or text based on the title. So I'm going to take it to the title of our next text. This, again, it's called "The Stingy Artist" by Keisha Walker. Now, the title of the story tells me that this is a story about an artist who seems to be very particular. The word stingy, or stingy rather, often means cheap, but they might also mean stingy, like being poked or stabbed. However, I think that they're referring to stingy, which would mean cheap, like I initially had said. But again, based on the title alone, I don't really know. Maybe this is about a scorpion or some sort of spider or hornet or whatever. Whatever has a stinger on it. But again, I'll let you know now. It does refer to stingy. That's what the story is actually about. It's about somebody who is often cheap, okay? And I'll reveal that now, even though, again, I'm just showing you my initial inferences to kind of show you my thought process as we go through this. So I'm going to split screen the window again and go to the text, which is seemed to... Oh, there you go. It's come back. So the genre of this text is an allegory. Okay, allegories are very much like fables, where oftentimes they're older stories, and they have a very particular moral or theme that the author wants us to understand. So, for our close reading activity, it asks us, how does Sakura feel about Gessen? Underline any evidence in the text that explains her point of view. Okay, so Sakura is a girl, and we need to identify evidence that explains her feelings or attitudes about Gessen. Okay, so, and then complete the close activity to follow the protocol. So here we go. This is the tale of Gessen, a Tibetan monk who became a famous artist, recognized for his amazing talent. Gessen would always demand payment in advance before ever picking up a paintbrush. So here we go. A wealthy and proud noblewoman named Sakura heard of a wonderfully skilled artist named Gessen. She quickly summoned him to her palace to paint a scene of her 3 prized dogs. "How much can you pay?" Gessen inquired sternly. "It is shameful to speak of money so early in the discussion." The noblewoman replied, barely hiding her contempt. Perhaps, replied Gesson unmoved, but I must know now. Sakura sneered at the artist, but she finally named a price, guessed the highest sum ever paid for a painting anywhere in the land. Gesson was paid in advance, and the piece was unveiled at a grand feast in honor of the noblewoman's prize dogs. It is the grandest painting in my collection, to be sure, the noblewoman told Gesson over dinner, but you taint its beauty with your stinginess and petty desire for money. You would no doubt ask me for a year's wages to see anything of worth. A year's wages I will take if that is what you will pay. Gesson bore the scorn of all at the table, especially from she who would hold a lavish feast for pampered canines while people starved. For you see, unbeknownst to Sakura or her guests, Gesson's village was suffering from a terrible famine. He had used every bit of his own earnings to fill a warehouse with grain, to repair the roads leading to the national shrine, and to build his people a new temple. And when all had been accomplished, he gave his paintings away for free, never again asking for a single coin. Okay, kind of a somber ending to that story. So we're going to get to the close reading. Again, the close reading wants us to find evidence that shows how Sakura feels about Gesson. I really like to hone in during this early exchange in paragraphs 1 through 5. So I'm just gonna reread it quickly because I think there's a lot of evidence here that could help us with this. So I'm just going to I'm going to two up to paragraph 5 and see if we can pull some evidence here. So, how much can you pay? Gesson inquired sternly. It is shameful to speak of money so early in the discussion, the noblewoman replied, barely hiding her contempt. Perhaps, replied Gesson, unmoved, but I must know now. Sakura sneered at the artist, but she finally named a price. Gesson demanded more. Finally, the two agreed on the fee, the highest sum ever paid for a painting anywhere in the land. Gesson was paid in advance, and the piece was unveiled at a grand feast in honor of the noblewoman's prize dogs. So, I think that the noblewoman, which is Sakura, she obviously does not feel very, doesn't feel much affection or, positive feelings about Gesson. I think she really thinks that he's kind of stingy. He's greedy. Doesn't really have much care for others. No empathy. So here's some of the evidence that I found that would reveal that. Okay, so I think that I can get a sense of her point of view right here. Let's start with paragraph 5. Sakura sneered at the artist. So based on her response, okay, to his request. So I'm just going to jot that down. Her response to his request for money now. Okay. She sneered at that. Okay. If you sneer at something, it's kind of like, ugh, like, wow, like, you're really kind of putting me on the spot right away. So that's some evidence there that shows her opinion about Gesson. Furthermore, she says here in paragraph 3, it is shameful to speak of money. So again, she kind of shames him over him bringing up money right away in this this negotiation or sale of art. So I'm not sure why my thing's not typed, but I'm sure it'll catch up. Going to move ahead to the second close reading. What do the last 2 paragraphs reveal about Gesson's motives? Well, it wants us to star some details that help us explain his actions. Well, we know that for Gesson, okay, obviously he's not being stingy. Okay, Sakura thinks he's being stingy because he wants to talk money and cost right away, but in needs it. All right, particularly going into paragraph 8. We learn that Gesson's village was suffering from a terrible famine, and this is something that Sakura had no idea about. Okay, so clearly Gesson's perspective or motivation or his reasoning and attitude about requiring money up front from Sakura is so that he can get that money to his village in order to help them out. As it states here, he had used every bit of his earnings to fill a warehouse with grain, to repair bits of road leading to the national shrine, um, and to build his people a new temple. So again, he needs this money in order to rebuild his community. But Sakura does not know that. She thinks just right away, oh, he's being greedy. He's just, you know, just being stingy. He wants money and he wants it now, and he's not going to wait for it because he needs it. It's an emergency situation for his family. Okay, I'm really experiencing a lot of technical difficulties on my end. And my recording, it seems like, is probably going to cut out any moment. And if it does again, I apologize. Um, if it does, I'm going to chalk it up to a day of there's some utility work going on outside. They're digging around. I don't know exactly what they're doing. The utility guys just love to dig up your street in the most inopportune times, such as right now. So I'm going to get actually back to the student work for lesson 4. I'm going to kind of speed it up a bit and go through this. I know I was switching a lot between screens before. Not sure if that's affecting all of this. But again, just know, guys, I'm really doing my best. And, I want what's best for you guys, and that's to get an education of some kind. Um, Ooh, that's really messing up. Okay, well, I'm just going to do this verbatim. I'm just going to do it just based off of memory. Again, the sample work will be available if you need to review it. So I'm just going to answer these questions the best that I can. So it says, for each character, identify 2 or more details from the text to support your analysis of each character's point of view. Okay, so Gessen's point of view, okay, is that he needs money in order to support his community. Okay, the evidence that we get from that is in paragraph 8. Mostly, oh, it seems like my document popped up, so I'm going to actually share off of this if I can. Please, it would just make things so much easier. It would allow my students to understand and see and visualize and follow along all of the great things that we're able to do in the classroom when I have you face to face. It's so difficult with a recording. It really is, guys. It really is. Just checking on my recording now. Hopefully it didn't stop. I think it might have. Oh no, it didn't. Oh, it's still there, chugging along, doing its best. Wow. Okay. Oh, and it's crashing again. Oh boy.
Where's my cue?
All right. Well, again, I guess I'll just have to do it off of memory. I had already explained Gessen's point of view. His point of view is that he needs the money for his family. Okay, the evidence that we get from that is really all located in paragraph 8 and 7, which are the last 2 paragraphs of the text. Meanwhile, Sakura's point of view is that Gessen is greedy and stingy, and the evidence that would support that is that um, she doesn't seem to really understand why Gessen needs the money right away. Okay, she immediately sneers at him when he starts talking about money so early in their negotiation over this painting. I'm going to try this one more time. Please just let me scroll down. And I don't think it is, so I'm just going to keep going. Oh, it did. Thank God. Thank you. All right. So let me show you my completed table. Looks like things are getting a little bit better over here. Maybe that guy plugged that wire in that was unplugged. Who knows? But like I said, Gessen keeps asking for money, but he's spending the money for a good cause. Whereas Shakura thinks that what Gessen's doing is shameful, and she sneers and scorns at him. So again, her point of view is that she felt that it's shameful of him to ask for money. And Gessen's point of view is that he does not feel it's shameful to ask for money because he's using it for a good cause. He's using it to help his community. So I'm going to continue. Again, I think I'm giving up on the internet today. Thanks for tuning in, guys. So again, going to wrap this up. Question 2 and 3. Question 2, which statement best describes Gessen's attitude toward money? The correct answer would be let me actually review. Let's go. Actually, let's guide you through the proclamation, as I did last time, right? Which statement best describes Gessen's attitude toward money? A, Gessen thinks people should spend money any way that they wish. B, Gessen believes art is more important than money. C, Gessen thinks that money is more important than beauty. D, Gessen feels that money should be used to help others and not wasted. Well, the correct answer here, folks, is going to be D, that Gessen feels that money should be used to help others and not wasted. Okay, he does not believe that people should spend money in any way that they wish. Okay, as we know, he takes the money that he's earning and is helping his community. He does not feel like it should be used for personal gain or advancement. He also believes that art is more. He does not believe, rather, that art is more important than money. While art is an important thing when you're an artist, obviously you need money. Okay, nobody wants to be a struggling artist, and if you're producing something of value, then obviously you have a right to earn some money. And I think that Gessen thinks that money is actually more important than art because he's getting the money from the art in order to help his community. Lastly, Gessen thinks that money is more important than beauty. Again, this is also false. There's no interpretation or mentioning or evidence that would support that particular idea. The correct answer, again, is D, that Gessen feels money should be used to help others and not wasted. Okay, it seems like this is projecting now. I'm going to go over the short answer question, which is the last question of the day, citing at least two specific details from the text and the chart above, contrast the points of view of Gessen and Sakura from the stingy artist. So here's the sample answer. Gessen and Sakura have very different points of view about the painter and his fees. Sakura believes it is shameful for him to bring up money, and she says that he is greedy. Gessen does not feel shame in charging so much to rich people. He suffers through their scorn because he knows the money is being spent to improve the lives of the poor villagers. So, again, we needed to contrast the points of view of Gessen and Sakura, so explain how they're different using the evidence from the chart that we had completed before. Folks, I know that the second half of this lesson is probably not the best of quality, or it might seem a bit rushed, but do know that I was very much rolling through lesson 3 when the initial recording had popped out. So to conclude today's lesson, I'm going to read the text aloud for part 5, which is the Common Core practice, which is how I will be assessing you folks at home. Common Core practice is an excerpt from The Good Earth, which is a novel written by Pearl S. Buck. All right, and it wants us to answer the questions after this story. So here's some background information. So all of this here is all background. So this is like a giant blurb. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read that blurb to you, as well as the remainder of the text, so long as it will load. And it did, thank you. And then you guys at home will be responsible for completing this chart by responding to the multiple choice question, responding to multiple choice question 2, 3, and then writing a short answer response for question number 4. Okay, gonna go right up to the top of the story. Gonna get going. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna read the blurb. Pearl Sidenstreicher Buck was born in 1892 in West Virginia, but soon moved back to Zhenjiang, China, with her missionary parents. Raised by a Chinese nanny, Pearl learned Chinese tales and myths and could speak and write both English and Chinese by the age of 4. Her daily interactions with the people of Zhengzhang taught Pearl a great deal about Chinese life and customs. While Pearl traveled back to the United States, years of her life in China. In 1917, Pearl and her husband John moved to a poor rural community in the Chinese province of Anhui. There, Pearl observed the challenges and hardships faced by impoverished peasant farmers. Later during her writing career, Pearl was able to draw from a wealth of memories about China and its people. Okay, so here called From the Good Earth by Pearl S. Buck. In the fields to feed his growing family. After years of fruitful harvests, how as the crops wither and perish. Ultimately, the family's all that remains of Wang Lung's inheritance is his land, now just bleak, hardened fields. In this scene, Wang Lung senses the hopelessness building inside him. Then he sees as they look. Wang Lung all but accuses his uncle of being heartless enough to feed himself. But of you and your father, who is my brother, retorted his uncle briskly. And now I prove it to you. As soon as I could, I borrowed from these good men in the town a little food on the promise that with the strength it gave me, I would help them to buy some of the land about our village. And then I thought, of your good land, first of all, you, the son of my brother. They have come to buy your land and to give you money, food, life, flourish of his dirty and ragged robes. Wang Lung did not move. He did not rise, nor in any way recognize the men who had come. But he left town dressed in long robes of soiled silk. Their hands were blood still ran rapidly in their veins. He suddenly hated them with an immense hatred. Here were these men from the town, having eaten and drunk, standing beside him, whose children were starving and eating the very earth from his fields. Here they were, come to squeeze his land from him in his extremity. He looked up at them sullenly, his eyes deep and enormous in his bony skull-like face. I will not sell my land, he said. His uncle stepped into the doorway upon his hands and knees, since he had such a use in his babyhood. Children to be fed, the children and the old man, he and his all, but here were these, and sunken in his face, and unctuously he said, my poor man, we will give you a better price than could be, my poor man, we will give you a better price than could be got in these times anywhere for the sake of the boy who is starving. We will give you, he paused, and then he said harshly, we will give you a string of 100 pence for an acre. Wang Lung laughed bitterly. Why that? He cried. That is taking my land for a gift. Why, I pay 20 times that when I buy land. Ah, but not when you buy it from men who are starving, said the other man from the city. He was a small, slight fellow with a high, thin nose, but his voice came out of him unexpectedly large and coarse and hard. Wang Lung looked at the three of them. They were sure of him. These men. What will not a man give for his starving children and his old father? The weakness of surrender in him melted into an anger such as he had never known in his life before. He sprang up, and at the men as a dog springs at an end. He sprang up and at the men as a dog springs at an enemy. I shall never sell the land, he shrieked at them. I will dig up the fields and feed the earth itself to the children, and when they die I will bury them in the land, and I and my wife and my old father, even we will die on the land that was given us birth. Okay, so for the questions you need to respond to, for question 1, you need to choose the sentence from the text that best completes this chart. So which evidence would best show Wang Lung's point of view, that he's upset that he's forced to choose between feeding his family and selling his land. For question 2, based on the text evidence, which statement of view in the city men's? For question 3, based on story details and the characters' attitudes, which sentence best reveals an important value in Chinese culture? And lastly, question 4, explain how the author's background is reflected in Wang Lung's response to the city men. Use at least 3 details from this text to support your answer. Okay, I'm going to switch this over now and stop presenting my screen. And yes, it's still recording. Hopefully I didn't lose too much. Folks, I do again want to sincerely apologize for any of the initial recording that went missing. I really appreciate anybody who is tuning in, and even if you just send me a simple email just saying hello, it would be greatly appreciated during this time. I'm getting kind of bored sitting here talking to myself for an hour a day. I've had a few of you out there who have reached out or have joined in on these meetings, even if just for a few minutes, and I greatly appreciate it. So until tomorrow, folks, tomorrow we'll meet again at 10:30 a.m. If it's 10:45, please don't bark at me or jump down my throat. I'm doing the best that I can to get everything up and running at the appropriate times. And again, if the video is not live at 10:30, just hang in there, and I will eventually be online. So I guess with that being said, I hope you folks out there have a great Thursday. Looks like a nice, bright, sunny day outside. I got some laundry I need to take care of. About to go cook me some lunch. Just peace, love, and again, make sure to wash your hands. Take it easy, guys.